formation to become priests, we must study a variety of subjects. Here at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Seminary, we're guided by priests or formators in the spiritual, intellectual, human, and pastoral dimensions of formation.
So a dimension of formation is focused around kind of an aspect, an area. Like an intellectual formation then is focused on helping the men grow in knowledge and understanding.
Most of our intellectual formation here at the seminary takes place through classes with St. Mary's University of Minnesota, where we'll study philosophy, theology, scriptural studies. And that really helps us build a well-rounded human and intellectual life.
This is where guys grow in their knowledge and understanding of what does it mean to know the truth and that the truth will set them free.
In the propedeutic stage, the seminarians really focus on forming one's ability to even participate in intellectual work.
It's really important for seminarians to understand other ways that we see ourselves in contemporary society, the individualism underlying some of our contemporary culture, and to have thoughtful responses to that.
We often take what we've learned in our formation classes and apply that to our intellectual studies at St. Mary's University. One way I did this last year was through a formation class with Father Fastnet. He taught us a lot about prayer, and then I applied this knowledge to a class about Christianity and science, looking at how prayer fits into our understanding of psychology.
I'm participating in the Lasallian Honors Program, and so the format of this program is a shared inquiry format, and so it's really cool. It's a way to kind of engage with the students on campus and talk about bigger ideas and kind of be a witness to them in our own faith.
At the seminary, we're required to have a workable understanding of Latin so that we can understand the Code of Canon Law, which is codified in the Latin language, as well as the theology of the fathers, doctors, and great saints of the Western Church.
In college seminary, these guys are focusing on philosophy, which is this sort of love of wisdom, but the study of knowledge, of how do we come to know and understand, why do we exist, what is the purpose of human life, how do we grow in understanding of God's plan and execute that plan. So it's a wide study of the many various topics, but it's looking at the history and the sequence of the history of thought through the centuries, and then into the modern and postmodern philosophies, where we understand human reason and what is the purpose of thought and why do we think the way we do, how do we make good choices, judging, reasoning, articulating that thought through the centuries.
One of the things that I think is really important about studying philosophy is to come to a clear understanding of our moral nature, our social nature, and so we spend a lot of time reading Aristotle.
It's essential for the man to come to know and understand what is the truth and how will he come to live that truth in his own life as he prepares to study theological studies to really grow in union with God through those studies.
Our intellectual formation actually impacts the rest of our lives here at the seminary, especially I found through our daily prayer. Like if we're reading something from St. Thomas Aquinas that's just like really beautiful, I can bring that into my holy hour and talk to the Lord about it, and it really just deepens my prayer life as I can understand more clearly what the actual intellectual basis behind it is.
So in the propedeutic year, we don't study philosophy. We study theology, sacred scripture. So one of our classes is a Bible class with one of the religious sisters of mercy that live here on campus. And sister really helps us understand the history of the Bible, how the Old Testament and the New Testament work together. And then we also have a theology class with our vice rector, Father Schaefer. And he helps us see how our personal stories fit into the larger story of salvation history in context of the church. Rather than get into, more difficult types of study, really get into the ability to study itself and kind of enter into the intellectual life along with the spiritual life.
So in our second year of formation here at IHM, we have a year of scripture studies. In the first semester, we look at the Old Testament, and in the second semester, we look at the New Testament. And what this class does is we really dive into the historical, critical method of interpreting scripture and trying to understand the context and the dating that goes along with these sources of scripture.
Many seminarians will take a minor or a double major or extracurriculars to improve their studies in one area or another that interests them, and then tie that back to their philosophy major.
Latin is most obviously studied in our different classes and sort of basic classwork programs like you do for any other area of study, but we have a veritable wealth of Latin appreciation within the seminary.
I'm taking a general business minor in addition to my philosophy major. And what really inspired me to take a business minor was ultimately, on a secular level, the parish functions like a business.
One of the ways that a double major, but in my case mathematics in particular, connects to formation is just the ability to foster a habit of truly thinking and thinking in a logical manner.
I'm going to be hopefully minoring in psychology and Spanish, which I think will be really helpful for formation and ministry. There's been a big growth in Spanish populations in our diocese and dioceses throughout the country, so I think it'll be good to kind of be able to minister more to those people, and then also with psychology to understand how to better give advice to those in my parish.
Any double major in general allows a student to go further in formation, go further in their intellectual formation, and learn more about what the Lord has given us in the natural world.
I had this desire to be able to best serve the parishes in an administrative level. In the human resource management class, we learned all about how best to manage people, how best to go about hiring individuals, how best to advertise on one's open positions. It allowed me to understand how organizations view the human person.
One of the benefits that mathematics gives is because it's very logical in its nature, and that's similar to philosophy, because philosophy, logic is one of the classes that you take in philosophy. It's a very logical in nature, and I think the mathematics allows for that greater growth in thinking.
Intellectual formation has been a significant aspect of my life, and I've seen my approach to academics change throughout my time here at IHM. As we go to classes and as we learn all about philosophy and scripture, it's important to remember that the end of intellectual formation is always a knowledge of Jesus Christ, and not just an impersonal knowledge, but an intimate personal knowledge of the person of Christ. And this radically changes the way we view academics here at IHM, because when we learn about the Trinity, we learn about the Incarnation and Christology, it's not just some abstract truth that we kind of learn in an intellectual way, but it's something that really enters into the core of our lives. Ultimately, it's all aimed at that relationships that we have while we integrate spiritual and human and pastoral formation.